Alright, so let's see if we can't decode the secrets of this melee logic subroutine here. So what I did a little bit off screen here is I just updated my table here. I put all the offsets from the base of a character sheet to, different stats of interest. And I also put the base address of each character off sheet here. This is the offset between character sheets. So just some stuff that might be useful when we're decoding this here. Now, I don't know if I mentioned it before, but I have a suspicion that A3 is certainly the stats of the character when we're doing the attack. I imagine it's the stats of the active character, the character doing the action. So it could also be the stats of the enemy when the enemy is attacking. And my suspicion is that A4 is the stats of the target. So that's the base address of the target's character sheet. We could, and this is not too difficult to test actually. Let's test that right now. Okay, so I'm just gonna pass turn. Now we get attacked by this snaky boy. So we look at A3 and it is 9384. 9384 is past the end of our fourth character, so that is probably an enemy. Yeah, there you go. 2 bytes and then the name of the boy. Okay. Now, it would be interesting to know what is at this address, 68. I have no idea. Like, my knowledge of the addresses goes up to about, 5A or something like that. Like, up until after charisma, I know that there is experience. After that, I have no idea what else is stored, but I do know that there is 96 hexadecimal bytes between each character sheet. So there's plenty more room after this stuff. I just don't know what's in there, but obviously something interesting is in there because it's being accessed. Well, let's just do an attack with one of our characters first, and we'll step through and we'll make reasoning as we go on. Okay, so we do a little attack here. We are back at the entry point. I renamed this function maybe do action logic because I found actually off screen I found that the thief's hide ability does trigger it. So I think when I was doing my testing there, I hit the cancel button by accident. But yeah, the thief's hide button does trigger the action just like magic missile, just like melee attack, and they do have different addresses associated with them. So, yeah, so this is where we break, and so we should see ourselves in AC2. We are there. Okay, I mean, probably I don't want to really look at this stuff that much right now. It's not, I just want to look at the melee stuff. I want to focus my attention. So, what I will do in that case is I will set a different breakpoint where my melee stuff is, which is at 1427E. So BP set 1427E, and we'll just turn this one off, and we will debug run, and then we get to 1427E. All right, so like we're moving 4 bytes from within the enemy's character sheet into D0, and then we're comparing that with a very specific number, C0008. So I don't know like what this could be, to be honest, but let's load them in there. And that is a 00001, which is obviously not C008. So this is, I don't know, they're testing for some special case and they're branching for that. I'm going to assume maybe this is like a very special enemy, like maybe like the last boss or something, but I honestly have no idea. So we'll just forget about that for right now. So now we move the byte at the base of the character sheet. And that's interesting because in that strategy guide that I looked at, the cheat guide, it doesn't say what that is, like what those 2 bytes? Yeah, there's 2 bytes there. So there's a word in there. It doesn't say what that means. The cheat guide, let me just bring it up here again, starts at the player's name, but the base of the character sheet is 2 bytes before the player's name. So those 2 bytes mean something important. We load them and we're checking to see bit test. We're checking a specific bit in them, maybe. The 7th bit. And if that bit is not set, I don't know. So let's load what that is anyways. There we go. So I move that into D0 and there's a 2 there. And we're testing the 7th bit, maybe. I don't really know what... Well, this is hexadecimal. But 7. I mean, we could look it up. So I have the assembly guide for 68K around here somewhere. All right, so yeah, bit test. You give it, in this case, you give it some immediate data, and the number of that data is equal to the index of the bit, I guess. Yeah, so bit 0 refers to the least significant bit. Yeah, it's what you would expect. And basically, if the tested bit is 0, the 0 flag is set, otherwise it is cleared. Okay. Branch if not equals branches if the 0 flag is cleared. So we want to branch basically if this bit is set. Yeah. So if bit 7 is set in D0, then we want to branch. But it's not set, right? The only bit that's going to be set is bit 1. You know, if you're 0 indexing it. Okay, so we should not branch in this case, if my logic is correct. We do not branch. So this is another test. But here's the interesting thing. What is this first byte of the character sheet? Now, if I had to guess, I would think that this would be your boy. That's your character class, right? What do you think? And if that is the case, then that means that whatever character class or classes correspond to bit 7 being set, they have special handling involved with them as well, and so you branch for that condition. So I don't know what this one is, but I'm guessing that this one has to do with the character class, and we're branching based on the character class. And I could test this, right? Let's do a little science here. So we'll do class words, and although that's not a word, that's only a byte. So there's 2 bytes there, but only the first. So there might actually be 2 different values. All right, so class bytes. So the first one is fighter 2. Okay. All right, let's just continue. We'll forget about this round for now. You attack me. Fair enough. Okay, so now we have an attack from a cleric. All right, so what do we get from that byte now? Let's step. Any steppers? We're going to move that into there. And that is a 1-9. That's a 1-9 for you. All right. Cleric gave us a 1-9. Let's just... Oops. Nope, wrong button. That was not the button I wanted to press. Get bent. All right, well, our thief... And get your thief in here. And, well... There we go. All right, now don't press F12, press F11. And 3, 4. Okay, and let's do a little more. I mean, might as well get the other one, right? Right. Play the freaking game. Yeah, and you go too. Well, I could have looked at what the class of the snake was, but whatever. And I think you're the one I haven't done yet, right? So you get in there. And you are 2B. Okay. So they're all different, and they're all different classes. So far that kind of indicates that it's probably what I suspect, but I guess a better test would be to like create a party with like 2 fighters and then 2 other of the same class and check to see if their numbers match each other when their classes match. But yeah, none of these have bit 7 set, do they? Yeah, because none of them, they're all below 4 in here. So that's interesting. Let me think here. And I mean, now that I think about it, you know, this routine, obviously it's not just used for player characters, but also for enemies. So it's very likely that this bit only applies to some special enemies that have some kind of handling associated with them. So yeah, these are probably just tests for special enemies, specific ones, or classes of enemies that require some kind of special handling. Oh dude, I found a way to make this the comment thing wider. I figured it out. Sweet. All right, now I can see my comments. Nice. Yeah, so just label some of these. Maybe this is possibly some kind of special melee handling routine. All right, so we got like a base here of 1 for hex. Move that into D2, and then we're subtracting from that a stat from the target. So 1 for minus a target's stat. What stat could it be? So I mean 6, 7 isn't on my list here. It's actually just one before these 4 bytes that were loaded at the very beginning here. So I'm not sure what stat that this could be, but I can make a guess. Because look at this baseline that we load in to D2 first. D2 wide, move wide. Interesting. Anyways, this one, your boy is the value 20 in decimal, right? And I think that number has a special significance in like hit rolls, 20-sided die, that sort of thing. So could this possibly be the armor class? And we subtract that from 20. And then we're setting up maybe our THAC0 is what they call it, to hit armor class 0. In here, because this is from the character doing the action, so the active character. All right, so let me think here. I would like to know if this value is the armor class. And the way that I'm going to do that is I am going to resume. I'm going to look in here. Can I change my character? I can change my character. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly note the AC of my characters. Well, it's 6886, so that's easy enough. All right. Now what I'm gonna, I guess I can leave this. So 6886. Now what we're gonna do, we'll break, I guess. All right, so let's see if this value corresponds to armor class. The base point of the first character is this, and then we add 6, 7 hex to that, and we get a value that is 6, which is the armor class of the first character. Now this one should be 8, and it's 8. And just for the sake of completion, since it's very fast, yeah, we have now decoded another piece of the character sheet. So we could add that into here. All right, so 6, 7 hex is certainly the armor class. All right, so 20 minus the target's AC. Now 26 is probably something in my, it's got to be something in my character sheet, right? In fact, I believe I remember what it is. Yeah, that is the level. So let's put my own little syntax in here. So target dot armor class active dot level into there. Okay, so this makes sense. Like, I think these are all things related to your chance to hit. Your hard capped at level 16, which probably indicates that your lookup tables, they only have 16 entries, so they don't want you to get above that. Mask to bottom 3 bits of target class. So we're just investigating the bottom 3 bits of the target class. And we are checking bottom 3 bits are clear. Do something. So I don't know what this could be. I don't know. I guess there's something about classes who have all 3 bits of all 3 of their bottom bits clear are something special. It could mean enemies, and I don't know. Let's look at our characters. So all of our characters have at least 1 bit set in their bottom 3. So that indicates that maybe this is something that differentiates enemies from characters. And if that's the case, we go down there. Otherwise, we subtract 1 from the class, and if it was exactly 1, we would not branch. Otherwise, we branch. So if it's exactly 1, then we do this. So none of our player characters are that. Interesting. Okay, well, let's step through here. Who is attacking, first of all? I have lost the plot. All right, it is you. Who attacks next? All right, so let's do a little steppy. Step. All right, what are we doing here? We're loading the byte for the character class. We are testing character class of the active character. All right, so that's interesting, because I was saying like maybe these are for enemies, but they could still be for enemies. One is the case where the enemy is active. One of the cases for when the enemy is the one being attacked. But anyways, okay, we'll do a test here. That doesn't happen. So we set up our D20. We subtract the AC from that. He has a very high AC probably. I don't know what that math turns out to be. Anyways, and then this is our level going into D1. Wait a minute, 3-1? Well, we're level 1. Interesting. So the top bits of the level byte might be used for something else. The top nibble might store some other information because they put a 3 in there just for whatever reason. It could mean nothing. Could just mean that they don't care and they just left it random. But it could mean something. We'll have to keep our eye on that. But then we mask that out. So we're left with just our level, which is 1. Now D0 is containing the active characters class. And we are going to mask that. So D0 is right now 19, which is what we have for our cleric. We mask it. And it just becomes a 1, right? Because we mask out the 8-bit. So now there's only left a 1-bit. And then we are comparing. Yeah, so there's lots of information encoded into the class. Like maybe some of the bits or certain parts of it can be decoded to get whether it's a magic user or not, whether it's an enemy class or a player character class or whatever. I don't know. It's interesting. But yeah, so we mask it. We're comparing with 0, which it is not. So we don't branch. We subtract. The result is 0. So we would branch equals, but this is not equals. So we don't branch. Interesting. Okay. So the masked active character class is not exactly 1. Do something. We skip this branch. We load this. And this is really only done, I don't know, like, is this done? Let's see if it would be done. It's done for our cleric, but it would not be done for the fighter, would not be done for the thief, and it would not be done for the mage. As far as our party is concerned, this section here is exclusive to the cleric. What are we doing here? We are loading an address into A0 from, and this looks like to be a fixed address in the ROM. 0001436A. We load an address, and then we look up into that table, and we just do a subtraction by looking up into that table, and then we branch here, which is the same place that you would branch if the bottom 3 bits were clear. Only clerics, but also maybe some other types of dudes will do this. What is this? It is subtracting from here, from D2, based on a lookup. What is D2? D2 is the thing that we're building up, the roll that we have to make. And the more you subtract from that roll, the harder it becomes. Let me think. No, the easier it becomes. Okay, so we're looking up into this table based on D1, which is our level. So the level of this cleric somehow does a thing for us. Okay. I don't know enough about Advanced Dungeons and Dragons rules to figure that out, but let's just rename this level, this label. So I don't know what classes of characters will get this bonus, but definitely the cleric gets it. And in here at level 0, you get 0. So at level 1, we should be able to subtract 1 from that. So let's load this address into here. And then we're going to subtract from D2, which is our roll. And we should subtract 1. So this should turn into a D. And it did turn into a D. Bonus table lookup based on level. All right, and then we go to the same place that was going here anyways. So what is this testing for? Because this now merges with this. So there's a special case being tested for here. Special case for class. Not a special case, because pretty much all of them, but the cleric will... Guys, this is so confusing. So this is a special case if the bottom 3 bits are clear, which is none of the characters I've seen so far. Maybe going through here is a special case for cleric, because I don't think any of the other characters I have will hit this table. And then you'll merge there. So this might be lookup for other characters that don't apply to this table. Where does this one go? It goes here. Subtract. Where am I? Here I am. All right, so here we're subtracting from D2. In this case, we're subtracting 1 from D0 and then branching if that didn't go to 0. So what was D0 again? Probably the class. Interesting. We subtract 1 from it here and perhaps branch to subtract another 1. So this is asking, was it exactly 1? If so, we fall through. Otherwise, well, was it exactly 2? If it was exactly 2, we fall through here. Otherwise, we go here. And we're still subtracting. Was it exactly 3? So we're basically testing what those bottom bits were. It would be good to have like a whole table of what all these different class bytes are, so that I could, try to figure out which classes apply to which of these branches, and maybe try to understand more about what they're intending. But I mean, this one, if your class resolves to this one here, then you get this lookup table, and that modifies your hit roll. Here you either fall through or you branch. If you branch, then you're going to subtract another one, so you're going to be doing another check. And then here we load. Okay, so this is probably a different table. And this is a different table. So we have these different tables based on what class, essentially. I wonder if there's a way that I can just kind of mark entire sections, because this whole section here is basically just what table do you correspond to for your hit bonus based on level. Yeah, because these are all using level to look up into a table and subtracting from D2, which is your hit roll. So let's just call this one hit table 1. I guess I could just look at the address as well. Not now that I've gotten rid of it. Hit table 2 is 1. There's hit table 1, hit table 2, and I bet you there's a hit table 3. Any betters? Maybe I should have called it hit level table, but whatever. So we got 3 hit tables in here. Now I'd like to decode what is actually looking for in these. I mean, we're looking at the last bit, and here we're saying, so the bottom 3 bits are clear. We're not doing any of this hit table lookup, it seems. Like there's no hit table up in here. So this very likely could just be like large classes of like just baddies don't get that bonus based on level. So let's call this label skip hit table bonus. So now I don't understand what classes correspond to which in here. What are the rules? I guess this would be an annoying task, but perhaps useful would be for me to build up a compendium of at least all the available player characters, what their class bytes are. And then I could use that to try to determine which ones go into which category in here, how it's categorizing these things. But overall, we can see it checks if those 3 bits are 0. So this is going to be a value between basically 0 and 7 if you just took the bits at their value. So this is asking, is the value 1? If so, we use hit table 1. If not, then we ask, well, is the value 2? If so, we use hit table 2. And then we skip to, the end where we're not. Yeah, that makes sense. If not, then we ask, well, is the value 3? And if so, we use hit table 3. Otherwise, is the value 4? If the value is 4, then we use hit table 2. Otherwise, we go back up here and we use hit table 1. So if the value is greater than 4, we use hit table 1. Interesting. Okay, so that's interesting. All right, yeah, so I'm just going to kind of label these branching conditions in a way that is easier to understand. So if the class triplet, which is the after you've masked out everything but the bottom 3 bits, if that triplet is 1, use table 1. If it's 2, use table 2. If it's 3, use table 3. If it's 4, use table 2. If it's greater than or equal to 5, use table 1. Okay. So with this information and if we had a whole, a list of all the classes available, we could predict which table would be used for each class. All right. So I wish we could like mark off entire sections. I wonder if we could do that. It's going to begin level hit bonus section. That's pretty good. End level hit bonus section. Yeah. That's something. All right. Well, we did start to decode a good chunk of this stuff here. And we don't have many question marks in this area that we handled. We got like it's not very fast going, but we will eventually get through this stuff, I think. Yeah, these ones, I think prefixing them to question mark will make it a little more clear that I'm not sure about these comments. But yeah, I think these are special handling for enemies in certain situations. But yeah, all this other stuff seems actually pretty clear so far. So now we can jump in on this part. Oh, and here's where the strength was. You've already kind of almost made it up to where we were before.